So what do I mean by using names and numbers in value and problem to demonstrate that you understand the situation and that you have your own point of view? That might seem a little difficult at first, but let's return to this activity we have already done, where someone should do something. Let's use the example again. Aaron should let us use phones in class. Before we even begin to write our argument, we can ask ourselves what we know about the value and the problem here. Surely you must know something about phones, about people, about schools, right? You might say, something of value. You might say, I know there are 30,000 students in my school and almost every one of them has a smartphone. That's a number, and that gives me a sense of where you are. That gives me a sense of your point of view, that you go to a school with 30,000 people and they're all walking around with phones. So I'm starting to get a feel that maybe you have something to tell me. I go to a school with 30,000 students and every one of them has a smartphone. Now maybe you don't know, or maybe you do. You might say, on average, all my friends use their smartphones 10 hours a day. Or if you don't know that, you can say, I know for myself that I have used the phone before a final exam and lost points the next day because I didn't know things I would have learned if I had studied. Or something like that. You can use a story from your own life and you bring up the name of the class. Maybe it was a history class or an algebra class. Using names and numbers establishes that you have your own point of view. If I were writing a response to this, I would establish my own point of view, right? I would say, Aaron should let us use smartphones in class. Actually, I'm going to argue the other way. First, I'll begin with what I know, my point of view. I will choose different names and numbers from you, but I will still follow this pattern, establish that I understand the situation and that I have my own point of view. I would say, nowadays, everyone carries Nietzsche, Aristotle, and all the great philosophers in their pocket. But the University of Chicago has actually shown that smartphones decrease mental performance. This is because they distract you. For that reason, we do not use smartphones in my writing classes. We don't have to go through this, but for our activity today, I want you to again write some simple sentences like this. Somebody should do something. And once we draw those sentences, we will look at them, and for each one, I just want you to ask yourself, talk with your partner, write down something that you know, even if it's just from your life or your neighbor or something you remember. What names and numbers do you know that demonstrate in the value and the problem that you understand the situation, Aaron should let us use smartphones, and that you have your own point of view? I am examining this from a teaching role, but you might examine it from a student role, if this is the smartphone idea. Or whatever we look at, try to use names and numbers in the value and the problem step to establish that you understand the situation and you have your own point of view.